Praise the Lord, every boy and every girl, all the people of the world. And right now, I'm talking to billions of them and just you. Whoever it is you are. Bill Clinton used to be really good at this. He's not very good at anything anymore. Here I am in my big old empty living room. It's a little messy. I could clean it up. Been wanting to. Really have been. Been wanting to move on with my life, but you know what? When Tom Acosta is sleeping with a 7-year-old boy and suing the state of West Virginia, a state being led by its governor's dog's butthole, you just can't. You can't. I'm not really worried about this video. It might not be perfect, but I know I am the very best. I am the very best this nation has. Homeless for a third time and fighting it from Atlanta to San Francisco. Being in an interstate kidnapping. Finding out Tom Acosta was sleeping with a 7-year-old boy. Later finding out Tom Acosta was suing the state of West Virginia. And still being alive and ending up in the most expensive home my family has. How do you think it makes me feel to be 2 months into defeating homelessness, and this is still what my living room looks like? Like I said, you can't move on when your father or alleged father is a child molester. Once you survive an interstate kidnapping and you go to your mother on the telephone and you say, now that Tom Acosta is a child molester, where was his penis prior to 1986? And when she laughs at the question, everything good that were your parents belongs at your house, if you even had one. That was more than a year ago. More than a year I had to go on before I had a home. And now I have a home, and this is my living room. You must understand, things for me are quite different than they may be for you. I'm 37 years old. I may never have to work to provide for a home again. I might not live to 40. The nutrition that was lost or never got there in my belly as I was homeless and fleeing West Virginia for the 5th time and all these other places because I had to. Do we remember or know why I went to California at all? Because I was working at 7-Eleven and almost going to defeat homelessness here in Denver. But Josh Eves had to sleep with a married man and whoever else. He didn't have to. He wanted to. He wanted to sleep with a married man and whoever else it was. That was the person. Josh Eves was the person I was staying with that even allowed me to be in one place long enough to even have a job. And he had to have his sinful and slutty sleepovers. Thankfully not with a 7-year-old boy like my father, my alleged father, but with a married man whose partner was dying of cancer, and with whoever else, including his drug dealer, he was going to be sleeping with. He prioritized that over me being able to work one more week and defeat homelessness. That is the truth. I just did a video, well, I did 2 in fact today. One on going to the food bank and one on Regina Church. Regina Church is a big old boomer lady that worked for West Virginia University Extension, and my entire relationship with her was always one thing. Her telling me to call back when Donald Reed was there, and that was it. You know, Regina Church's passing is unfortunate and sad. It happens to all of us. And I'm sure that there were traits and qualities of Regina Church that was beyond telling people to call back when Donald Reed was there. It is sad. It truly is. And have I lost my mind? No, I haven't. My mother did. She married an arms dealer from Saudi Arabia in 2 seconds right after she got divorced. Probably because that Saudi Arabian arms dealer was like, I'm in love with whoever is a multi-home homeowner and a woman and single and ready to mingle right now. Wouldn't you agree? We got a whole video on Richard. We got 2. We got one on Richard called The Bummer Roundup, and then we got another one on that, how Eleanor Roosevelt will deal with him. My mother cannot tell me if Richard is alive, and that's a problem. It might mean we need to resolve Rita Kay and resolve Tom Acosta at the same time. What happened to Richard? I don't like him, but we need to know where he is. Is she happily divorced for a 3rd time? Or did he become an alligator snake because she wanted him to? We don't know. Those are things that keep me in the way of cleaning up this living room. Enough about our big old butthole obsessed, naughty ass boomers. It's pretty much what a lot of them are. And they're that way for allowing the governor, who lost over $500 million of his own money, to get reelected, the governor of West Virginia, Jim Justice. And they're also that way for allowing my dad, who I don't think even really wants to be alive, and I think who had just ended up with this titanium heart. A 5-year-old one now. I think things just slipped into place, but they're wrong. And we must always stand up for what's right. I'm not even going to stand up. I'm going to lay back down. Well, what I want to say mostly in this video is we have to go back to where it all began. Is it Genesis 1:1? We don't have to go that far back. But I know it. In the beginning, God created heaven and earth. No, for me, going back would be about 5:30, 5:45, September 11th, 2020. That's a good marker of when things began. Now, I was like 33 years old. What was I doing then? I was quitting my job, the job I came out here to Denver to get promoted for. And the weirdest thing is, had I never lost that job, it's likely I still could not have afforded this kind of home. It's just the way it is. It just turned out that way. Had I never lost that job, I was put on a performance improvement plan because I was too slow. I was putting commercials on air for the next day's traffic in a global pandemic and never got trained. But I got promoted in 366 days. I answered thousands of calls. Boomers complaining about stuff. I can't find my remote. The technician's late. Why is my bill so high? I had to deal with thousands and thousands and thousands of boomers upset with our TV service. But it all led to the beginning, that moment. Now, the real beginning would have been, I was in an Uber, and I was taking my equipment back to Dish, the headquarters where I was never really allowed to be because of COVID. That's where I was dropping off the equipment, and I was in an Uber going back to my home, my old home, before I was homeless for 725 days from Atlanta to San Francisco, because that's just the American way, isn't it? Charlie Ergen, the founder of Dish, the other billionaire in this story. You need to resolve Christy White, the Bluefield operations manager at Dish, who was one of the first people to know Charlie. Tom Acosta told me, I'm going to leave you here in this cabin and go sleep with a 7-year-old boy, and I'll be damned if that doesn't cause you to lose over $500 million yourself or whatever. I don't give a shit. It's just the way it is. What's right never changes. And all these people who think that they could just disregard their role in needing to do what's right. Doing wrong comes at a price. And this life and the next one. Nathan's right. Can we get a grandma in Arkansas to say Nathan's right? But it was in that Uber. I was on my way back home. And I found out I had HIV. Not from a phone call from a boomer. The doctor boomers don't really even bother with that. It was just the app. And it told me I had HIV. And I had already, in the days prior, kind of planned to celebrate in a global pandemic, losing the job I came out here for. I was going to have a sleepover with a man that definitely was wanting to have one with me. He sure was. And here's the part in this video I want you to know. So he got there, and I told him, as soon as I found out I had HIV, I texted him. I said, don't come. Don't come. Something happens. I just can't have you over. Because I didn't want to be with anyone during that time. But he came over. He sure did. He came over. He didn't have anywhere else to go. He was homeless in his hometown. America's first all-American city. He was a veteran of the war. He still is. I think. I hope. We all do. I'm pretty sure if Mr. Devin died, I'd find out. And I hope that day is long, 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 long away from now. But he didn't have anywhere else to go. And he came. I went outside and I got him. I went upstairs, got my backpack off, and then he was pretty much there. So I went downstairs and I got him. And I remember this very specifically. Everything about it. But, oops. I pushed the stop button by accident. I don't like this big old heavy, slow ass Android. I wanted an iPhone. I had an iPhone. It smashed. The organization that helped me get this housing helped me get a phone. Praise the Lord that they did. It just turned out it's an Android. I'm working on getting the iPhone back. But I smashed the phone and they gave me this one. So I still have something to make YouTube videos with. Praise the Lord. But I pushed the stop button. But going back to that moment. So what I want to tell you, whoever in the world you are, even if you're Travis himself, I have been loving that other man longer than I have been loving the man of my dreams. It's true. Here's how that happened. Oh, I feel so liberated. Telling everyone on Facebook. YouTube. Maybe we'll get over to Facebook. Screw Facebook people. Oh, everyone I've ever known for 33 years. Because a lot of the people in Denver, I'm not Facebook friends with. It's the people that know my dad. Yeah. But anyway. I've been loving Travis longer than I'm loving Devin. I have. How'd that happen? Well, as I said, he came over. He didn't have anywhere else to go. From what I know, them two was fighting in general. That's why he couldn't stay over at Travis's. And I was looking forward all day to him coming over. And then when I found out I had HIV, I was like, I am never going to be in the mood for sex, drugs, and rock and roll tonight. As hard and as fast as you might want to try, it just isn't going to happen. And it never did. It never did. His words were soft and tender. It was a love that I could not forsake. Like Celine Dion or Jennifer Rush, the original person who did that song, Power of Love. But he and I went in my apartment door, and he didn't take 3 steps. He might take 3, he didn't take 4. I remember how that apartment was. He didn't take 4 steps. And he said, "How many Travises do you know?" At the time, I didn't know any Travises west of the Mississippi River. And then I remember going to my kitchen, and I remember thinking, well, he looks hotter than Ryan Gosling. Better than that. And he's like this big old bundle of hotness. And here I am. And I told him not to come, but he's here. He don't have nowhere else to go. And he's got this person named Travis. Got to care about him. So I did. Right away. Right away. It was about maybe 4 minutes after that when he said, "What was it that you couldn't have me over here for?" And I told him. And then he was like, "Come here." He was like, "That ain't nothing. This man already went to war for us. He picked up our fathers, our brothers, our sons off the desert for him in a helicopter. And I imagine if you were dying and bleeding out on a desert floor, it was kind of like a spaceship coming there and rolling and banking perfectly. And he was the man leaning out to scoop you up. That's who it was. Long ago. But he scooped me up too. And there was nothing to be ashamed of. And I want to tell you, whoever you are in the world, even if you're Travis himself, it was a beautiful thing. It was. It was what God sent. These days, here in 2024, it's become quite apparent to me. Me and Travis are not going to stop loving that man. We can't. Maybe it's what's best for us. I don't know. I am trying to love Travis harder and faster than I ever have before. Now, what do I mean by that? Sex, drugs, and rock and roll? Well, I'm not ruling that out, but I'm not really going that direction. I'm saying I went to Travis's house the other day. He wasn't there. I was there to try to tell him that story of how I've been loving Travis longer than the man of my dreams, which I think is his man of his dreams too. And, you know, it's just like, we're going to stop at number 1. And one of us is going to stop before the other 2. And I would like before any of us do, we all have an understanding of that. Very much. I feel better now that I've said that, and I'll feel even better when it's on YouTube. For the world, we should understand what Nathan knows. It's important to care, to pray, to hope for the best. in many situations. We have to resolve Tom Acosta, and the longer West Virginia isolates itself and thinks it's not connected to the world that keeps blowing its coal out of smoke into smoke by the trainload, it has never stopped and will continue to do that until the very last piece is gone, pretty much. You just have to understand, West Virginia, all veterans matter. You've got a sign in Welch, West Virginia, home of the oldest Veterans Day Parade. A it's on like every light pole. It's a sign that says Welch, West Virginia honors its local veterans. And that word local is shit. Okay? You need to be honoring Devin and the people that died alongside with him. Well, he didn't die, but he was saving all the lives that he could. It's very disrespectful. Okay? Well, West Virginia is home of the oldest Veterans Day Parade in U.S. history, and it's going to probably have another one with the largest mural in the whole damn state, next to another mural that's archived in the Library of Congress, painted by Tom Acosta, the child molester that's suing the state of West Virginia, the state being governed by a dog's butthole. All of that is something everyone in Colorado and everywhere else can understand and agree with. When I say Nathan's right, it's not like I want to be right. It's just like, that's fucking common sense. And Welch and West Virginia being that way, it's just like the rest of the world's like, I'll be damned. My grandfather, Clifford Blevins, was in the United States Navy, and he met Winston Churchill, who told us to never, never, never give up. So West Virginia, you need to find a way to just hold on, because the rest of us are never, never, never gonna give up. Devin, I love you. I'm mad at you right now, but not that mad. And Travis, whenever you're ready, I'm ready to deal with you. Real hard, real fast. So good I might explode if I don't. Whatever that means. Because, Travis, what should the world know about us? You're a sweetheart. I bet I know like 50 people that know you, and every single one of them tells me you're a sweetheart. Am I a sweetheart? Pretty much. Maybe not on YouTube all the time, but generally, I am. So we need to just there needs to be no tension, and there needs to be like an explosion of loving cares. That's how I'll put it. An explosion of loving cares. And doing what's right. Always. All the time. And for that 7-year-old boy, one of the 7 billion people out there, for that 7-year-old boy is having to survive Tom Acosta, the world cares and prays for you, and it will never stop. Amen. Oh yeah, I'm standing up. Standing up, and I'm wearing orange. This happens to be a Denver Broncos shirt. Not a prison jumpsuit, but did Tom Acosta also steal more than $20,000 from the town of Raynell for a project supposed to honor U.S. veterans of the Vietnam War? He's sure fucking dead, and West Virginia sure fucking doesn't care yet. Happy Veterans Day.